Yes.
Because they've got burgundy colour vehicles.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've actually got the old. They've actually got an old co-op fleet, and it was taken in and resprayed.
Okay.
And that maroon colour is actually the maroon that they use on the royal cars, on the Queen's car. That.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually did a funeral for them. We provided 4 bearers for them.
What did you? Yeah.
And it was for a lady in Count Plain. And the church in Count Plain has a driveway in. We got there about 5 minutes before, which is normal. And we're stood at the back of the hearse. And this geriatric woman drove up, took one look at us, and the look of hate in her eyes was out of this world. She reversed back, she came back with her husband, and she's that far from my face and told me I was effing stupid and couldn't I park this thing somewhere else? And then went in, I am never using your services, she said. And she must have been late 70s. She was awful, absolutely awful.
You do get that in some churches, don't you? The locals definitely don't like you parking outside or certain places. There's a place where you go to over, I can't think where it is, it's near Maze Lane in Fareham Way, Stubbington Way, and it's obviously down a dead end, a little old church, and obviously the local residents, they're just, although funerals probably only happen down there once every 2 weeks maybe, if that, maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks, but yeah, every time you go down there, the residents, you can see the windows start twitching, and they're thinking, they're monitoring where you're parking, where all the mourners are parking, and you think, well,
why move there? It's like when people move next to a school.
But like I
isn't
say, once every 2 weeks, and it's just, you think, why is it so much hassle? We try not to block it, everybody, because we always leave it when they're in the church, don't they? Some of the bearers always stay outside, don't they? In case we're blocking the road or people need to get by. Keys are in the vehicles, we can move them quite easy, but people do get themselves very irate about something as simple as that.
The only place for the hearse and the limousine to park was in the bus stop right outside the church.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a whole load of people at the bus stop, and they were all sort of, I'm not getting on that. A few of them were joking, and a few of them were, that's not my bus, I'm not getting on that. But that was the only way, the only place to stop, designated bus.
Yeah, happens all the, parking can be a real hassle sometimes, especially in the middle of the city, and you must get this all the time, Andy, in the cortege, people.
Oh yes, coming into especially if you've got
I had it happen to me today. I did a job this morning, and it was a hearse 3 limbs, and it always happens. People coming around the roundabout, they're focusing ahead, and they see the hearse. Obviously, they always see the hearse, and then they think, no, I've got to do my thing, and then you see them look round, and they think, hold on, and they see that they count the hearse ahead. They see the next car,
one limb,
and then they think me, and then they look in their mirror and they can see another 2 cars, and it suddenly dawns on them that they're in the middle of a cortege, and then they don't know what to do, they don't know where to pull over, and then it just causes absolute chaos. But people do it all the time, they just don't see it, coming.
I did one favour at Southampton. There was 11 limousines, and it was for an Indian family, and we managed to get the hearse and all 11 vehicles into their front garden. That's how big the house was. We got split up.
Yeah.
We had to go to a mosque down by St Mary's. We couldn't get the vehicles over the sleeping policemen. So 11 vehicles, that's 7 people in each vehicle, so that's 77, mourners. Wherever the vehicles got stuck, they jumped out. So we unloaded and loaded the vehicles probably 3 times before we ended up at the crematorium, and I never saw the same person in my car again. It was just the nearest 7 got in your car.
Yeah,
yeah, I did one recently. So 10 limbs and a hearse, so 11 vehicles, exactly the same thing. And we were in, the church, St Mary's, St James's Church, Milton. So it's not actually in the hospital, is it? It's just around the corner off the main road there, at Milton. That's not very big in there. You'll try and get 10 limbs in there. That's interesting, turn them all around. But yeah, we managed it. But that's the biggest one I've done. Yeah. 11, and that was only a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, that is big.
Sometimes, though, not only do you get members of the public which are unpleasant, I've met 1 or 2 vicars and celebrants that have been an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. I had a vicar recently write to my office to say that I bullied him into taking a service. Do I look like I could bully someone into taking a funeral service?
No, you
because
don't.
The lady had put on her bond. She'd attended this church since she was a child, but she wasn't in the parish area, so he flat out didn't want to do it. All I said was that she'd lived in the area since she was a child, and he wrote a letter saying that he felt that I bullied and pressured him into taking the service.
They all get paid though, don't
I
they?
think
It's all-
my manager read it and just sort of looked at me and just went, "No, I don't think this is right."
I think there definitely seems to be an uneasy alliance sometimes, doesn't there, between the clergy or the people who are operating the services and you guys, or us
there
guys, I
is,
should say,
yeah.
who are like the conduit between the public and the people who are taking the service. I think there's sometimes that relationship can be a bit. I've only been doing the job like 3 years, so I'm not massively experienced of it, but I've definitely seen the tension there sometimes. And you see the funeral director, don't you? He says, "Oh, who's doing today?" He'll come up to you, as he pulls up, and he'll say, "Who's doing today?" And if you say whoever, Fry or whatever, or Vic or whatever, and you can see him visibly relaxed sometimes, and other days you can see him think, "Oh no."
I think it's quite
It's gonna be-
interesting now though how which obviously I've only been doing this for a year, so I'm like probably the newest out of the four of us. But how many people choose a celebrant now compared to like people realise that you don't have to.
Is that a non-religious thing?
Yeah,
Is that right?
so we
Okay.
I see a lot. Someone will say, "Oh, so you don't have to have the Church of England
No.
minister," and when you sort of explain, and then obviously I reckon at least over half of the arrangements that I've done have been with celebrants.
I mean, certainly what we try and do is offer choice,
Yeah.
and people don't know the choices that they have, do they? They just don't know because this is a taboo subject, so they just don't talk about
The thing
it
is that
with family
at
or
that time in their life when there's this massively distressing things happened,
yeah.
they're not in the sometimes
No,
they're
the
not
head's
right
not
frame of
there.
mind, are they?
No, the head's not there
right frame of
anyway.
mind to make decisions like that, are they?
No.
But
Can't be.
sometimes we've done funerals where they've had no one to actually lead it. It's been kind of like everyone has a go. Have you done any of those? And they're the worst ever. Partly because the timing is impossible because you don't know who's going to stand up or who's going to say what. And I can remember one at Porchester. The guy was on the edge of the musical circuit and he was fairly well known, like a sort of a upper amateur level. But they weren't as talented as they thought they were. And it was just horrible. That's all you can say. Horrible. And it was being recorded and it was going to be sent out to Australia because they do, I don't call it podcast, webcast. Is it? Webcast, yeah.
That's quite a popular thing now, isn't it? Because where people used to travel back from miles away, obviously now they just say put it on the internet and we'll watch it from there. And I've noticed quite a few of them been happening now. But I don't think Portugal's got cameras installed, haven't they?
It's something that they're thinking
Something
about.
they're talking about.
They'll have to just to keep up.
I
Maybe
think
that
the
new
new
one's going to have it.
The new one is going to have it.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing because it'll take the pressure off Porchester.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's one of the busiest in the
Portugal's
country, isn't
literally
it?
creaking at the seams,
It's
isn't
going
it?
to be the services are going to be the full half an hour, aren't they? It's going to be a
3/4
45
hour
minute
slots.
slot.
A
Yeah.
bit like Wessex Vale where we go a lot now.
Yeah.
Chichester's, I think, 45 minutes. And
I think Porchester must be the only.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
Because you think essentially you're only getting about.
because there's
20 minutes.
two crematoria in Brighton, and they're both 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the shortest one I've ever done was about 15 minutes, and that was just all the. He was arranging his mother's funeral, and I think she'd had it was an unexpected death. She'd been ill, and she was elderly, so it wasn't a sudden death. And I was going through the forms and everything with him, and what would you like, and what music would you like? Do you want the organist? Explaining about the charges for the organist, if they wanted the organist, singing hymns. What music would you like? Don't care. Right, okay. Well, Porchester Crematorium there's a big list of music that you can pick from, or you can provide your own CDs, and we'll make sure that those are played, or an MP3, or we can play off your iPod, anything like that. You pick.
I hate
So
having to
I
pick
actually
music.
had to pick the music for this poor
I've had to
woman's
do it a few times.
funeral. Yeah, the only track I can remember picking is PAA suit.
Have you actually chosen your own music?
No, I haven't, but I have done a bond.
Oh, okay.
I am paying for my funeral at the moment. Yes.
Has anyone chosen their own music? No.
I haven't given it any thought, I've got to
No.
say.
Once you're dead, you're dead, aren't you? You can't hear, can you?
No, that's right. Yes,
Exactly.
I mean, I won't care what they play.
Yeah, I think a lot of funeral people because I'm the same. And it wouldn't bother me what you did. And you could chuck me in a skip afterwards, as far as I'm concerned. I don't really.
When I go, I quite like the thought of having some small main tribute, but the rest of the
Yeah,
money can
something
go
for the
behind
so
the
the
bar
coffin
or to a
isn't so the
charity
coffin
or something.
isn't bare.
Yeah.
I'd hate to think how much money goes on flowers.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just
Well,
thousands.
who is
and
it for? Is it for the
thousands
benefit of the
and
living? Is it?
Oh,
Is
really?
it? Does it make you feel good making the gesture? I don't know.
I think
It
it's
can
fun.
be
I think
guilt
it's-
sometimes as well.
yeah.
Definitely, some people. It is, isn't it? It is guilt sometimes. It's people will make a big gesture to
Yes,
sort of
yes.
make up for.
It is a lot of you know, look what I'm doing for my mother.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Well, the
absolutely.
really extravagant
which
funerals
is-
are more cultural, aren't they?
Yeah.
Um,
I did a
You get
big
your traveller
funeral,
funerals,
yeah.
you get like
Yeah.
you said, an Indian funeral,
Yeah.
didn't you? The Japanese, they like to make quite a show, don't they? And it's definitely a cultural thing. They might like to make a big show, and you get big families in local towns. They like to make
Yeah.
a big show, and pay the thousands and thousands of flowers,
I-
which all ends up in a masher.
I did a funeral the other day for a lady who was obviously quite a character in her life. She was only 58 when she died. Now, you have to bear with me on this. The time it may not be 100%, but 11 years ago, her boyfriend thought that their relationship started, but it was 8 years ago that the husband thought that his relationship with his wife ended. Okay, so there's a 3-year overlap there. She
Right.
lived with her boyfriend for 5 years, and then moved into her own place, but resumed seeing her husband, but never actually stopped seeing the boyfriend. Okay, so when she died, the husband wanted to pay for everything. So it's the first time I've ever seen a tribute that said wife, because normally it's mum or whatever, but this
Yeah.
was like wife. It was like a
Right.
big statement. She was my
Yes.
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the boyfriend had this big white heart with this card in it that just went on about a load of rubbish, really. And I saw it, so I knew it wasn't quite right. So I kind of tried to hide it out of the way a little bit. Fortunately, one of the daughters who was aware of everything spotted it, took the card away.
Right.
So the husband was spared any. But yeah, what a carry on.
I've had people threaten to stop a cremation unless they were given jewellery.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's normally sorted out long before, isn't it?
Yeah,
Jewellery
and
all that
I
sort of
actually
thing.
had the crematorium on the phone to me and said I've had the estranged wife of so and so and so and so who was our client, so paying our bill, so saying that unless she